Welcome to the Dreaded Conservative Show. It's Monday night, kicking the week off right. We're 30 minutes late. 30 minutes late while I check the audio. 30 minutes late, but still here. How's everybody doing tonight? We've got a show. Black History Month comes to an end. We're going to talk about the failed surgeries of Ben Carson. A lot of people pretend that he's one of the good ones. He's the success story. I'm going to show you why we might be kind of blowing that out of proportion. Then, Trump updates. Trump wins South Carolina GOP primary in seconds, beating Nikki Haley in her own hometown. Weird tech news. We got phone networks shutting down. We got balloons over the sky yet again. In Utah. Lots of weird stuff going on. Then, I've got a story that I don't even know if it's real. It just doesn't make sense. A soldier lit himself on fire in Washington, D.C. to protest the war in Israel and Palestine. What does it all mean? We'll let you know today in the show. Oh, that's not what I meant. It's time for the show! Get to the bunker. Get down. Get to the bunker. Get down. Okay, guys, you can all blame Floor for me being late. I'm gonna mute calls from everybody. I'm never gonna answer the phone from anybody. Ever. Because people just call. They're just always calling. I can't sleep. It's Monday. On Mondays, I get home from work after 9 hours at 7 a.m. And then I got to put the thumbnail together. I got to finish putting the show together. I got to package up a bunch of cards. I got to go to the post office and be there when they open at 8. Then come home, eat breakfast, go to bed. By the time I get to bed, it's 10 o'clock. Show starts at 5. I wake up at 4. That's 6 hours of sleep. A little bit under optimal, but it's 6 hours of sleep. Well, today, at 3 o'clock, Floor decides to call. And wake me up. And then I couldn't get back to sleep. We can't base our social internet life on your weird schedule. We also got to work. Well, just don't call me, ever. No, that's fine. That's fine. You're right. So my decision to turn off all alerts from every messaging app and everything is good advice. But I don't know how to do it for certain time periods, so I'm just going to have it turned off all the time. So, Nope, I'm never answering the phone again. All right, show today. It's Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. This week in Black History Month, we're going to talk about a great black man in history, a brain surgeon, Ben Carson. This is one of the conservatives' go-to token guys that they always like to point out, like, this is a good one. This guy, look at Ben Carson. Well, my friends, I'm going to tell you some things you might not have known. About Ben Carson. As far as his separated twins, his Siamese separated twins that he separated at the brain, The Binder twins never recovered. They were left severely damaged, unable to move, walk, talk, or communicate. 7 months after the surgery, they returned to their home in Germany, and Carson didn't keep in touch. One is now dead. The parents divorced due to the strain. Then there's the Block sisters. One died, and the other sustained severe neurological damage. She is blind and walks with a limp, and they think she can understand some things. The Bijani sisters, 29-year-old Iranian twins, were joined at the head. They both died on the table. He was at the edge ethically, according to some other doctors at the time, taking chances that were too close to the edge of impossible. He had a habit of asking his patients to pray before surgery. Some really like that. Those are the cases I could find on the twins, but also performed an operation that removed half of the brain of a girl with severe seizures. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I got that. I think I have that story. It's on Google. But anyway, let's read an article from The Guardian. There's a summary. What's the point, Josh? Why are you besmirching the name of Ben Carson? Because in the same way, I'm going to be consistent. In the same way that I'm going to call out how it kind of expand on things to kind of, make some people seem greater than they were or worse than they were. The media does this. They've done the same thing with Ben Carson. If you want, I always go to George Washington Carver. That was a good black man, and he did do a lot of good things that have impacted agriculture and farming for the rest of our lives. Great, great man. But instead we're going to talk about Ben Carson. Clarence Thomas is cool. I like Clarence Thomas, but Martin Luther King, blah, or Malcolm X, pre-Mecca Malcolm X, whack. Post-Mecca Malcolm X, little better. What's up, baby? Who else? Rosa Parks, she was a scam. Claudette Colvin never got recognized, cast out. They NAACP brings in Rosa Parks as a plant, takes the fame from Claudette Colvin. Harriet Tubman, nice lady, but she wasn't actually like some giant operator in the Underground Railroad. She just let a couple people stay the night at her house on their way through. What else? There's others. Don't even get me started on Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, these fake reverends. But anyway, Ben Carson is the one that the conservatives will be like, oh, he's the good one. I think that neurosurgeon maybe isn't as complex as we think. And it's really just somebody with a big ego who wants to fix all the problems in the world, putting scalpels in your brain until they get it right. That's pretty much what it is, which is a lot of the medical field. Ben Carson, this is from The Guardian. Ben Carson's patients from 8 years ago when he was running for president. Ben Carson's patients claim malpractice in Star Doctor's path to politics. As former neurosurgeon launched his campaign for president on public persona of caring for children, multiple cases reveal private anguish and secret settlements. When Dr. Benjamin Carson arrived at the 1993 annual meeting of American Academy of Otolaryngology in Minneapolis, he was already a household name. As director of pediatric neurosurgery at Baltimore's Johns Hopkins Hospital, Carson, sorry guys, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. I'm tired. I'm a little off today. Are you black people bashing tonight? No. We're celebrating Black History. What is a physician? As director of pediatric neurosurgery at Baltimore Johns Hopkins Hospital, Carson was known as a master of his craft and renowned as the first surgeon to successfully separate Siamese twins, which basically means shrink. They're connected at the head, and you just shrink it up, and then, let the chips fall where they may. I could successfully, if my point is, if what we're going to see here is the barrier for entry or the standards for success in the separation of Siamese twins, then I could separate Siamese twins probably pretty successfully as well. If one of them dying and one of them being brain dead means that you were successful, if both of them dying, if one of them ends up deaf and blind and the other one, can't walk, and that is successful, I think I could do a pretty successful Siamese twin separation surgery. Just toss me a dang machete. I'll just do it with a dang machete. Boink! Just slice them. Slice them up. And then, whatever happens, happens. I successfully separated them. You know, they're not going to have very successful lives after this 10 minutes later. But I did successfully separate them, right? So, what is a physician? He began a lecture to the meeting. A physician is a healer, and healing actually involves more than just the physical side of things. It also involves the mental and spiritual side of things because human beings are very complex. Well, it doesn't involve the mental side of things if you chop their brain open. Carson quickly turned from medical ethics to focus on what he deemed societal ills and what he saw as a dearth of intellectual achievement. Now, I don't know where in the U.S. I don't know if he where he stands politically. I think he leans more right, or maybe he doesn't. He was running for president, adding a Tea Party darling to the crowded field. Okay, so he's Republican. He's Tea Party, so maybe his politics are great and all that stuff. I'm just saying, we're like, he's a great brain surgeon and he successfully separated Siamese twins. Slow your roll. Hold on. Let's find. Let's skip down here. So the girl with half a smile. The girl with half a smile. So when Carly Bailey was 7, she began experiencing headaches, an ailment later discovered to be caused by a brain tumor. In November of 1995, she underwent surgery to remove the tumor. A shunt, essentially a passageway, was placed inside her head to address the buildup of fluid, and she went on living a relatively normal life. I was riding horses and fishing and camping, she said. My only medication was multivitamins. But 2 years later, Bailey started experiencing headaches again. Almost like it was just a temporary band-aid. Almost like it was just a temporary band-aid on the problem, and he wasn't actually able to fix the problem. Interesting. Her tumor had regrown. She was introduced to Carson, who in July 1997 determined her shunt had failed. According to a pending lawsuit against him in Baltimore City Circuit Court, her parents said they explained to Carson they were deeply concerned about what they knew to be significant risk of collateral injury associated with attempting to remove all of her tumor and to avoid a full resection. According to the Bailey family, Carson was blunt in his response. Before my surgery, he came out and told my parents, I will follow your surgical guidelines in your surgery. My goal is not to kill your kid. Bailey, now 26, told The Guardian in an interview. What happened next is in dispute, but Bailey contends Carson in surgery performed that August invaded her brainstem, which led to life-changing nerve damage. Carson says that he performed a complex, detailed surgery and that Bailey's parents were made aware of the risks associated with it. Like always, I consulted them on the fact that I would remove as much of the tumor as reasonably safe. Carson said in a sworn affidavit. In an operative report, Carson said he wrote, he attempted to remove all visible tumor, which he described as removing what was reasonably safe. But as a result of the surgery, according to Bailey's court filing, Carson severely disturbed, injured, and destroyed multiple neural circuits controlling the patient's facial motor function, horizontal gaze movements, and other psychological functions. Now, is this uncommon in the neurological field to have unsettled cases against you, settled cases against you, claims of malpractice? Yes, it's very common. It's very common when doctors are just making stuff up as they go and they're cutting into your brain. It's very common that they're going to screw up and then they get sued for malpractice. It's part of the job. I get that. My whole point is a lot of these Siamese twins didn't turn out too well. This is not one of the Siamese twins. And I don't think this Guardian article talks too much about the Siamese twins, but we read the thing earlier. I'm trying to find. See, the Guardian's not even telling you about the dang Siamese twins. Is that even the politically correct way to say that? I want to read this one from See, the problem is I can't read these ones from Washington Post and New York Times, and they're really the ones I want to read. But essentially, what I read to you earlier in the beginning um, was in line with what I'm talking about. He's been sued for malpractice at least 6 times, including by a girl who suffered facial disfigurement and a woman who claimed he left a sponge in her skull. He left a sponge in her skull. He left a sponge in her skull. What the? So that's it. Happy Black History Month, guys. Ben Carson. Um, shout out. Shout out successful Siamese twins operations that I could perform in my kitchen. It's brain surgery, not rocket science. Yeah, it's not that complicated. I can successfully separate my lights from darks on laundry day. Yeah, you can more successfully separate your clothes on laundry day than he successfully separated those Siamese twins. I would not call those a success. Well, it just depends on the way you look at it. If separating them means success, I could do it with one of those paper cutters from the movie Faculty. I could be like Josh Hartnett in Faculty and just run up, rip the paper cutter off, and just what ding, slice them up. I had to read Gifted Hands in 7th grade, and TNT made a movie based off of that book with Cuba Gooding Jr. What is that? Is that about Ben Carson? Is that about Ben Carson? Hate covered Rosa Parks today, doing content you've done. Well, you know that Hake's not the first person to tell that story, and I'm not the first person to tell that story, and JLP's not the first person to tell that story. Do you know that story was on Drunk History about Claudette Colvin and Rosa Parks? It was on an episode of Drunk History. They talked about it. They kind of editorialized and removed some things. They never mentioned that she got pregnant out of wedlock when she was 16. They just said, I forgot what they said, but they kind of glazed over a few important details. But it was a funny episode of Drunk History. That's his autobiography from 1993. Yeah, I haven't read it. I just found it interesting that when I looked into those surgeries, because I hear a lot about Ben Carson and how he's like the great brain surgeon, great Black History Month conservative brain surgeon guy. So, but then when you look into it, you find out these surgeries didn't go too well for the people afterwards, and I just thought that was funny. Rest in peace to the legendary Rosa Parks. Jalen, I just explained. You already, see, that's cognitive dissonance. Rosa Parks was not great. Claudette Colvin, I would, if well, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Greatness doesn't have to mean goodness. I think that Austrian painter from Germany or from Austria, he was great. He was great. So if he was great, then yeah, Rosa Parks was great as well. Yep. Greatness. She was great at leading to something that had more harm on the black population than than anything ever. Yep. Yep. I mean anything other than being born in Africa, I guess. When during slavery, that would have probably been pretty bad for him. Not because of the white man, but because of the other warring tribes in Africa at the time and the Muslims and all that stuff. So, but you know what it is. Happy Black History Month, everybody. We're done with this next week. We're done with this next week. What's happening? Easter's coming up. Rosa was a psyop. She was a psyop. She was a plant. She was a plant, and she took all the credit from a young girl who got pregnant out of wedlock and got left in the streets. NAACP didn't do anything to help her out, didn't go back and give her a cut of the profits, didn't mention her name and give her any of the fame. Most people have never heard the name Claudette Colvin. They have no idea who she is. They have no idea the true story behind the Rosa Parks story. They just know she was tired. She was tired. So she didn't want to go to the bed. No, that's not what happened. And also, they destroyed a bunch of black-owned bus businesses when they did that because they forced integration on people instead of letting it happen naturally over time, which it was already. Anyway, happy Black History Month. Let's talk about Trump. Trump! It's Trump date time. It's Trump date time.
It's a man, baby.
Yeah, everybody likes the back of the bus anyway. Sounds like we're off to a good start. Yeah, we just talked about how Ben Carson successfully macheted some Siamese twins, but the surgery after their life wasn't successful afterwards, but he did successfully separate them. And the conclusion is we could all successfully separate a Siamese twin if those are our standards. We could all do it in the dang on the cutting board in the kitchen. Just go whap, and you're good. You're good. They're separated. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen after that, but they are successfully separated. The hour earlier streams are helpful. At least I get to hear a bit more when I take my breaks at work. She was a great crisis actor. Yeah, pretty much. One of the great debates was about Miss Parks. Bless her. Whatever. You didn't know that woman. Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump, baby. Let's talk about Trump, baby. All right. Trump won South Carolina in seconds. Nikki Haley's hometown of South Carolina, he just stomped all over. Just stomped her into the mud. Trump beats Nikki Haley in South Carolina GOP primary from NBC News. NBC News. Charleston, South Carolina. Former President Donald Trump won a resounding victory in South Carolina's GOP presidential primary on Saturday. NBC News projects continuing a winning streak through each Republican nominating contest so far and putting him in position to potentially clinch the party's presidential nomination within the next month. Defeat for former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is a blow in her home state. A blow in her home state. A total of 50 delegates were on the line in Saturday's contest, which are split between statewide winner and the winner of each congressional district. And Trump's dominant performance throughout the state allowed him to win nearly all of them. Though Haley grabbed 3 delegates from South Carolina. Oh, what's that like, Haley? You got 3? You got 3? Charleston's base 1st congressional district, NBC News projects. Trump won statewide by about 20 points over Haley. With his victory on Saturday, the former president now looks to be cruising to the party's presidential nomination, despite being criminally charged in 4 we got to throw that in there, in 4 separate jurisdictions and subject to hundreds of million dollars in civil penalties. He could reach the necessary 1,215 delegates to clinch by mid-March, with a number of states holding de facto winner-take-all primaries on Super Tuesday, March 5th, and more following after that. There's never been a spirit like this, Trump said at his election night party in Columbia. I have never seen a Republican Party so unified. Bigly unified. We watched the acceptance speech on Saturday, I believe. A blow in her home state. I know, that's why I read it twice. That was so nice I had to read it twice. NBC exit poll shows Trump and Haley fighting to a near draw among Republican voters with college degrees. And what about the ones without college degrees? Trump with 51 to Haley's 47, but it was a blowout among the bigger group of primary voters without degrees. Let's go! Let's go! Now, the liberals will say that's because Trump supporters are idiots. I would say Trump supporters are the ones that you're going to need in the apocalypse when the communication system goes down, which we're seeing hints of this week. That's called foreshadowing. Y'all already know the stories. I'm late on the news. Y'all know this AT&T thing. We're going to speculate. Is it a sign? Is it a sign that the communications are going down, boys and girls? Floor somehow thinks she's going to journey across. She can't journey across multiple countries when Biden has the border wide open. She thinks she's somehow going to journey through multiple countries to find me when the communication system goes down. It's not going to happen, Floor. You're all dead to me in the apocalypse. We're not going to be able to call each other. There's going to be no mail system. There's going to be no running water or electricity. Most of us will be dead in 3 months. Okay? Sorry, it's just the way it is. I love you, but you're dead to me in the apocalypse. All of you. Okay. I got distracted. Trump. He won South Carolina. What's CNN saying? Trump wins South Carolina GOP primary as Haley vows to stay in the race. She's standing strong. She's standing strong. She will not bow. She will not break. You know? You're covering the AT&T mess? Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I haven't really looked into it too much, so I'm going to look into it tonight. But I'm hearing stories. I'm hearing stories about people's phones getting hacked, people's accounts getting hacked, weird purchases showing up while the networks were down, all sorts of stuff. So, and I also want to see what other networks are underneath AT&T. So we'll get into all that here in a minute. We're foreshadowing right now. Republican presidential primary, South Carolina, Donald Trump wins 59.8%, so it's balanced out a little more over time. 47 delegates to Nikki Haley's 3. Wow. CNN primary delegate count. Total delegates won to date. Trump has 110. Haley has 20. DeSantis has 3. Ramalama Ding Dong has 3. 1,215 delegates are required to win the Republican nomination. Trump wins Haley's state. Trump continues his dominant march toward the GOP nomination after defeating rival Nikki Haley in her home state in South Carolina. Trump has swept all 24 GOP nominating contests so far. In remarks celebrating his victory in the primary, Trump said he's never seen. I already read that on the other website. Haley vows to continue. So let's move on to Nikki. I don't know. I don't want to say Nikki Haley. She's not gay. Nimrata. That's what we call her. I forgot. I was trying to think of a good nickname. Nimrata. Say his name. Whose name are we saying? Oh, Ramalama Ding Dong. Vivek Ramalama Ding Dong. Vivek Bakalaka Dirt Dirt. Bakalaka Dirt. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm out of it. I got 4 hours of sleep, and I'm gonna have to go to freaking work after this. Yeah. Tuesdays are the worst. Tuesdays are the worst for me. Yeah. So Haley's standing strong. She will not bow. She will not break. Where's my Nikki Haley stories? Hold on. Let's watch some of this speech while I try to find the Nikki Haley stories. I've already played this on the other stream, so we're just going to watch this for a moment.
I was just informed that we got double the number of votes that has ever been received in the great state of South Carolina. So that's pretty good. So it's a record times 2. And there's something going on in the country. Some really great things are going on. You look outside and you see all of the horror. You see millions and millions of people coming across the border illegally. We don't know where they.
All right, guys, we already watched this on a stream earlier in the week, but this is his remarks to supporters after winning the nomination. Here's how Trump won in South Carolina and what it could mean for his chances in November from AP. Trump cruise to victory. These are all pretty much the same story. Let's read about. Oh wait. Many question the value of supporting Ukraine's fight against Russia. An overwhelming majority see immigrants as hurting the U.S. and suspect there are nefarious political motives behind Trump's multiple criminal indictments. Yeah, that all sounds about right. Even in her home state of South Carolina, where she was once governor, Nikki Haley of Nimrata appeared to have little chance against Trump. Just over half of GOP voters had a favorable view of her. We talked about how Nikki Haley is really just in this still because of all the funding that she receives, all of the donations from big financial backers, financiers, you could call them. So I'll show you. Here's one of her. She's lost one of her backers from BBC. Billionaire Koch brothers backed network stops Nikki Haley spending. A libertarian conservative organization, whatever, founded by the billionaire Koch brothers, will no longer spend on Nikki Haley's presidential campaign. The decision by Americans for Prosperity Action, AFP, to pull the plug is another setback for Ms. Haley as she seeks the Republican nomination. She lost her home state of South Carolina on Saturday to former President Donald Trump, his fourth successive victory in the primaries. But she has vowed to fight on. In an email to staff on Sunday, the AFP president and CEO said their backing would focus on key Senate and House races in November's election rather than on Ms. Haley. So the Koch brothers pulling that money out. She's made it clear that she will continue to fight. We wholeheartedly support her in this effort, wrote Emily Seidel. But given the challenges in the primary states ahead, we don't believe any outside group can make a material difference to widen her path to victory. So basically, they figured out, oh, we're just wasting our money now. There's no way she's going to beat Trump. No chance. No chance. You'll get no chance in hell. Liberal conservatives, right? Basically, that's what libertarian conservatives mean. Yes. Yes, exactly. I understand that liberal is not the same as libertarian, that one is left and one is south. I understand, but they are pretty close to the same thing. Pretty much. That's why they sound so similar. And wait till you find out that when the right and the left was originally started, Republican was on the left. Republican is left. Voting, Republican, democracy, socialism, communism, all that is left. God is about the king, the monarch, the king, the theocracy, the God, family values. It's not about voting. It's not about we're all one. We got to teamwork makes the dream work. No, it's individual values, family values, God, the king, and the church. That's what the right is. That's what the right is. Still to this day. Not so much to this day, but it's supposed to be to this day, but it's not anymore. But people want to vote. We got to have our vote. Everybody's got to vote. Two sheeps and a wolf voting on two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. It's dumb. I know. I know. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know. Anyway, so yeah, election update stuff. It looks good. It's looking good. Still waiting on my $100 from someone who bet me $100 that DeSantis would be the next president. Where's my $100? Where's my honey? He ain't gonna pay me. This is why you don't make bets with people on the internet who you really don't know anything about, because they don't pay up. Which is beta. Look, ready? You make a bet, you don't pay up.
Beta.
That's right.
La 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 la. Wait till I get my money right.
Okay. So funding taken from Haley. Trump wins. Trump is plowing through everything. Just ridiculous plowage going on here. But actually, let me play more of that. There's another little video. Oh man, it's so nice to see playing with fires crashing and burning. You got 39 people. Is the stream started? There's no way. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm saying his channel name. What am I looking for? Waiting for that money is like waiting on lunch from Ben Shapiro. I know. I pay all my bets, but I never lose. Do you not ever lose because you just never make bets? Or are you that good? Are you like a betting savant? I'm heading out. I get host trivia tonight. I get to host trivia tonight. Oh, what do you work at? Like Applebee's? I worked at Applebee's and I got to host bingo night for the old people. That was fun. That was fun. Trying to find something I can play while I go make some coffee real quick because I didn't make it beforehand. I can't believe SNL had Shane Gillis on. We're going to talk about the AT&T stuff next. Actually, let me find a video that maybe I can play.
There's some more breaking news tonight. AT&T now revealing that they caused the cellular calamity.
So this is from CBS News Boston. We're going to watch a couple articles because I want to get a comprehensive idea of this. I haven't really looked into this a lot, and I don't have AT&T, so I didn't have a problem with my phone going out or anything. But I heard about this like a day or two later after it happened. And I was like, yeah, people probably were losing their minds. Your phone doesn't work for 2 hours. People were probably losing their damn minds. I'll play this. We'll watch a couple articles, and I'll be right back. I got to go put some pot of coffee on.
News tonight, AT&T now revealing that they caused the cellular calamity that knocked out service to countless customers nationwide. They say they made a mistake when they tried to expand the network and say it was not a cyber attack. But as WBZ's Julie McDonald shows us tonight, it was a wake-up call for a lot of people.
Well, as AT&T customers with service restored lay their heads to rest tonight, some of them may be clutching onto these after this stressful day apart. Others, though, experiencing a bit of a wake-up call. What did we do before these?
Honestly, it felt like Home Alone. I was running through the airport. Must have just been like completely missing each other. It felt like very like apocalyptic, you know, in like, you know, the most first world way.
When Dawn Perry landed at Logan Airport first thing Thursday morning, she was confused. Her calls and texts unanswered, and her dependable dad nowhere to be found.
I just thought to myself, the best chance I have is to, go
that?
out to the cell phone lot and go through all the different rows and hopefully.
So hold on, what happened? What they say? They said that AT&T is taking credit for it, and that it had nothing to do with a cyber hack. Is that what this article basically says? I think I watched it last night.
I run into my dad's car and I can just stay put.
Dad! All across the country, AT&T users found themselves without service and forced to figure things out the old-fashioned way.
We've seen these outages before in the Southeast a couple years ago. We've never seen anything this big. We always have to be worried about attacks on critical infrastructure.
So they're saying they blame the error for outage that knocked out cell phone service. Blames technical error for outage that knocked out cell phone service. They say it's not a cyber hack. Don't freak out, people. It wasn't a cyber hack. But I've been hearing stories that after that happened, people had weird things drawn out of their accounts, being charged for strange things. So I don't know. Is there more to this? Is this a sign of things to come? Is this a test? Are they testing us? Let's see what happens if we cut the communications for a couple. Let's just see what happens.
In particular, ones that impact our communications.
The widespread outage does have people reconsidering what they do in an emergency. Nearly 3/4 of adults live in households without a landline. State police did.
That's not the solution. Is not get another phone. The solution is figure out how to survive without having to call somebody every time you need help. That's the problem. The problem is people can't freaking do anything on their own anymore. I need a doctor for everything. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Call the doctor. Oh, I don't know what to eat today. Call my dietitian. Oh, I gotta get more medication. Call the therapist. Everything's gotta call. You gotta call somebody for everything. You always gotta call somebody. What the heck? I see grown men calling their mama every day. Cut it out. God, you don't need to call somebody about everything. People are so not self-sufficient. They cannot survive. They're hooked to this phone, this scrying on the black mirror. And I get it. I got the phone. I'm a YouTube junkie. I got to be listening to something all the time. Too much silence makes me go crazy. It's tough dealing with the silence. You got to sit and soak in it sometimes. And it almost hurts because we're so attuned to these little devices and everything stimulation. Stimulus. Stimuli, stimulus. Which one? Either way. Stimuli. Anyway. Hey, get your stimuli out of my eye. 2 phones are better than 1. Game's back on AFK. So, yeah, people are just not. God, they can't survive if they can't call somebody every time they need something. Always calling somebody. Always got to talk to. I need to talk to somebody. Always got to talk to somebody. What's going on here? Sorry. Maybe this is some leftover agitation from the fact that I got woke up 40 minutes before I had to wake up. 40 minutes before my alarm clock went off, I got woke up by a phone call. And I only get 4 hours to sleep, mind you. That 4 hours is cut down by 40 minutes because now I can't get back to sleep. That's why the show was delayed, because I slept an extra 30 minutes. Or tried to. Silent prayer phones. Yeah, we need some silent prayer phones. We need some silence in our lives. That's what we need. We do. It's true. So true. AT&T service restored after customers hit by widespread cellular outages in the U.S., NBC News. Carrier said Thursday night that the outage had left thousands without service for hours was a process error and not a cyber attack. Let's see what they're talking about here.
No explanation for the massive nationwide cell phone outage. AT&T, one of the largest wireless carriers in the country, going down early this morning for some customers, unable to send or receive any calls or texts.
As soon as I woke up this morning, it was gone.
The outage.
Now, I heard somebody say that they were unable to call 911. That doesn't seem correct to me because I'm pretty sure 911 still works even if your phone doesn't have a SIM card, doesn't have service, right? Or am I wrong about it? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I know you can have a cell phone without a SIM card and 911 will still work. Right? You can be in sometimes when you're just going off GPS, you're out in the woods, 911 will still work. It's like it's like its own network. So if 911 was shut down, I feel like that's a different thing altogether than AT&T being shut down. But I only heard this from one person who was a caller on a show that they said 911 was shut down. So we'll look in the articles and see if that's true. If anybody knows, let me know. Got to get a burner. Remember Chad from Alltel? That guy was cool. Remember, I don't know. Remember the guy from Dell? He said, dude, get a Dell. Dude, you got to get a Dell. What'd he say? Dude, you got a Dell. Something like that. Remember the lady? Never mind.
Lasting for hours.
Didn't have any service. I need to make some phone calls.
I really needed to make some phone calls. What am I gonna do?
He's saying wireless service is now fully restored, but the FBI and Department of Homeland Security are investigating. The Bureau
Dude, you're getting
saying,
Adele.
should we learn of
Dude, you're getting Adele. That's it. Should we learn of any malicious activity, we will respond accordingly.
any malicious activity, we will respond accordingly.
I just said that.
I think a lot of people right now are asking, how does something like this happen?
I don't like this lady. I always see her when I do NBC News. She looking like a man. She kind of looking like a man, you know?
Unfortunately, the technologies that we use are becoming increasingly complicated. This highlights the dependencies we have on very complex systems.
Some emergency departments urging people not to call 911 unnecessarily.
Track phone. I used to have a track phone. Remember they used to have Metro PCS? We called that police coming soon. They always told if you were involved in the underground world of narcotics, you were not supposed to use a Metro PCS because the rumor was, I don't know if it was an urban legend or what, but the rumor was that Metro PCS, since so many drug dealers were using them, or so many drug dealers use burner phones, that they made Metro PCS just so they could catch drug dealers. That's the conspiracy theory. So we called it Metro Police Coming Soon. Don't ever set up a deal on the dang Metro Police Coming Soon, or the ops are gonna knock. That guy was on TRL with Carson Daly. He said, dude, you're watching TRL. Then he got a drug charge shortly after. His career never recovered. But works for Metro. But works for Metro. But works for But works for Metro PCS. Oh, snap. I think y'all give him too much credit. I don't think he's clever enough to be a Fed.
Massachusetts State Police saying they were flooded with calls that clogged their system as people tried to test their phones.
Lexington 911.
Oh, that makes so 911 was working, but 911 went down because all these idiots who can't call their grandma to ask how she's doing today, they can't call out of work. They got to call in sick to work and be 40 minutes late. So they got to call in, and they can't do it. They can't call their grandma. They can't call their doctor because they got the sniffles. All these people are freaking out. So they're like, I know how I'll test if my phone's working. I'll call 911. And so then the 911 system goes down because they're getting flooded with calls of people who are testing if their phone works. Hey, dummy, 911 is different than your phone network. They're different things. You can take your SIM card out and still call 911. So they blocked up the 911 lines because they were testing their AT&T service. Oh my God, people are dumb. This is reverse Flynn effect. This is the movie Idiocracy coming true in real time.
Where's your emergency?
This Kentucky 911 dispatch center had normal call volume this morning, but says today's outage is a good reminder to have alternate modes of communication.
It's not a bad idea to have a landline available.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misunderstood that. Are they saying they said 911 went down because of a flood of calls from people testing their phone? That's what they said, right?
The outage impacting people from coast to coast.
My messages weren't sending, I wasn't getting anything. Today's my birthday, so I want to call my mom and stuff.
In Los Angeles,
What'd I tell you?
driver Time Johnson feeling a difference during the morning commute.
Of course, the dang Uber driver with the mask on. I couldn't do my Ubers. She got a nice ad Tesla, though. What the? Look at this.
What have you noticed?
It's just been really, really slow. So I'm thinking it may be the outages because people can't order their Ubers.
Security experts saying the situation reveals potential vulnerabilities.
I think it does show, though, that we need to really be thoughtful about, as we adopt these technologies, as we become dependent upon them, that there are fail-safes, that there are rollovers.
A stark reminder as our reliance on technology only grows.
Liz, what has AT&T said about what happened?
F you.
Well, Lester, the company says they're still investigating. They have not given a cause for the outage. There is no indication, though, that this was a cyber attack. Several federal agencies, including the FCC now, are working with AT&T to try to figure out what happened.
I'd be asking for a prorate on my bill. You better prorate my bill, and you better subtract that downtime, AT&T. I ain't paying for that. I'm not paying a full month this month. There was 3 hours. That's like $2. There was 3 hours when I had no service. I ain't paying it, AT&T. How about no? All tax, no trade. Tesla, Uber don't need nobody. Yeah, you don't even have to drive. The Tesla, Uber people are like bots, you know? They just sit there and drink their coffee and put the car on auto drive. I bet you it is pretty much all automated. If you're doing Uber in a Tesla, you could probably hook your Uber up to your Tesla, and the Tesla just does it. Wow. And you got to wear your mask. I need reparations. Yeah, I need reparations, AT&T. You were oppressing me for 3 hours. I couldn't call my mom on my birthday. She said it was my birthday, and I wanted to call my mom. Well, look at what is the ego there? It's my birthday. I want to call you on my birthday to let you know that it's my birthday, Mom. Are you going to tell me happy birthday, Mom? AI they're taking our jobs. AI's taking our jobs. They're taking No, I don't have AT&T, but I bet one of my distant relatives do. Yeah? Well, I bet you didn't hear from them that day. Yeah. I know you have AT&T because you didn't call me. You didn't call me that day to let me know that you were safe from the phone outage for 3 hours. I needed to know that you were safe. People are probably losing their minds, especially with all the movies like Leave the World Behind coming out, the Civil War movie coming out, the ISS movie that's coming out, all the end of the world talk that's been going around. People were probably losing their mind. This is the end times. People are grabbing their bug out bag. People grabbing their bug out bag, about to dip into the woods. Start looting the phone stores. That's some idiocracy right there. Those phone stores are down. Let's loot. Or the phones are down. Let's loot. What are we looting? Let's loot the AT&T store. Where none of the phones work. AT&T, yeah. What's Independent saying? So this is a couple days later. AT&T apologizes for massive system failure, but rules out cyber attack. They're saying it was not a cyber attack. AT&T said that a massive outage left people unable to make calls, including so they couldn't call 911. But see, so this article says including to 911. But according to the last article, what I suspected was the case. That you can still call 911 if your phone service goes down. They couldn't call 911 because the phone lines were backed up because everybody started calling 911 when the phone lines went down. The provider said, this is a typo on Independent. The provider said the outage, they put THEW. Get an editor, Independent. I'll do it. Pay me. The outage was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process during network expansion. We're continuing our assessment of today's outage to ensure we keep delivering the service that our customers deserve. White House echoed this, saying that there was no evidence the outage was caused by a cyber attack. According to CNN, John Kirby, a national security spokesman, said the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are looking into Thursday. Oh, well, that means that we're definitely going to get some answers. If the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are on the job, they're not going to mess up anything. We're going to know everything. They're going to be very clear with us. You know, they're going to make everything known. They're looking into the incident and contacting partners to see what we can do from a federal perspective. Anything federal is bad. To lend a hand to their investigative efforts to figure out what happened there. Still, he said officials are unsure about what caused the widespread outage. The bottom line is we don't have all the answers to that. I mean, this just happened earlier today, so we're working very hard to see if we can get the ground truth of exactly what happened. But meanwhile, as that's happening, here's a story that might have floated by you. It might have went over your head. Ooh, those are good puns. Those are good puns. This story might have floated by. It might have floated over your head. The joke might have went over your head. From ABC 7 Eyewitness News in Utah, my current home state of Utah, NORAD fighters intercept high-altitude balloon flying over Utah. We got a balloon! We got round 2 of the balloons. It's another dang Chinese weather balloon. Just a joke, YouTube. I know that's fake news, allegedly. We don't know. We still don't know a whole lot about the weather balloon, the Chinese weather balloon, but we had another balloon over Utah. They're saying it was a hobby balloon, but they scrambled NORAD jets. They scrambled jets from NORAD to bring down some guy's hobby balloon, apparently, is the story that they're saying. What is being characterized as a small balloon was intercepted by fighter aircraft Friday morning over Utah at an altitude of 43,000 to 45,000 feet and is being allowed to continue to fly above the United States because it has been determined not to pose a national security threat. Okay, so they didn't shoot it down. They just let it keep going. But they scrambled fighter jets to intercept this dang hobby balloon. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, I wonder how much taxpayers paid for that, said in a statement. As U.S. officials described the balloon as being 50 feet tall and carrying a payload that is the size of 2-foot cube. It is not known what the payload might be carrying, the official said. Maybe it had like an AT&T phone scrambler in that box. What's in the box? In close coordinate with the Federal Aviation Administration, North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, detected a small balloon at an altitude varying between 43,000 and 45,000 feet, said a NORAD statement issued Friday. The balloon was intercepted by NORAD fighters over Utah, who determined it was not maneuverable and did not present a threat to national security. NORAD will continue to track and monitor the balloon, said the statement, but the FAA also determined the balloon posed no hazard to flight safety. NORAD remains in close coordination with the FAA to ensure flight safety. The origins of the balloon are unclear, as is how it came to first be tracked by NORAD, said the U.S. officials. A lot of things are unclear about this. The development comes slightly more than a year after a Chinese spy balloon, which later on, a year later, they actually retconned that story and they said that it was not a Chinese spy balloon. It was just, I don't remember what they said. It was a weather balloon or whatever they said it was, but they did retcon that story. That balloon that measured nearly 200 feet in height was equipped with a payload described as being the length of 3 school buses that carried intelligence sensors and was capable of being maneuvered remotely. The incident created tensions between the United States and China. NORAD subsequently made adjustments to its sensors to increase the detection of high-altitude balloons flying across the United States and Canada that led to a shoot-down of smaller balloons over Alaska, Canada's Yukon Territory, and Lake Huron. They're just shooting balloons down left and right to this day after that dang Chinese balloon was flying around. So, is there going to be an ad here? If there's an ad here, I'm not going to play this. It's not wanting to play. Let's see what let's see what CBS is saying about it. Commie Bulletin Service. Hobbyist balloon detected over western U.S. has left American airspace, officials say. Yeah, let some other country deal with the dang balloon. The balloon invasion. We got an invasion of balloons. Chinese can't even pronounce Baroon. FBI going to find a suspicious garage door pull rope to investigate again? Yeah. Landline phones. Landline phone calls are truly amazing, like music coming from a vinyl record with a needle. Yeah, what about a rotary phone? Make it make sense. Yes. Let's see. I'll play an article for you. While I go pour myself some coffee.
Recordings just got better.
Get out of here, Dana from StreamYards. I don't want StreamYards. It's an op.
Are tracking a high-altitude balloon first spotted over Utah. You'll probably remember that this incident brings to mind that Chinese spy balloon shot down just over a year ago. ABC's Karen Travers joins us live from the White House. Karen, good morning to you. This one not shot down.
Good morning, Janae. That balloon is now likely over the Atlantic Ocean after moving quickly across the U.S. overnight. It was allowed to continue flying because officials say it posed no threat to national security. Still, NORAD fighter jets intercepted that small balloon over Utah on Friday morning. It was flying at an altitude of 43 to 45,000 feet. And a U.S. official tells us that the balloon is about 50 feet tall with a 2-foot cube payload. Still unknown who launched that balloon, what its mission may be, and what is probably inside that payload. But important to note, the FAA says that the balloon posed no danger to flight safety. Of course, this does remind everybody about that Chinese spy balloon that just over a year ago was spotted flying across the United States. That was sparking big tensions at the time between the two countries. It was very different.
All right.
The payload on that Chinese spy balloon was the size of 3 buses.
Okay, same exact story as the one we just read. Well, this is ABC. So we got CBS, ABC, NBC, more of the same. Basically, I just found it interesting that there's this balloon flying around. Phone grids are going down. We always talk about the power grid going down, and I hope we're all wrong about that. I hope it never happens, but it's seeming to get more and more possible, more and more likely. So be self-sufficient, learn how to forage, learn how to bushcraft, learn how to fish, learn how to hunt, get you some guns. You don't need too much. You only need as much as you can fit in a bag that you can throw in your truck. You need a bug out bag, you need a bug out whip, a bug out vehicle, some sort of cheap truck, all-terrain vehicle. Turn the bed, something with I got the topper on my truck, and one day I'm going to turn the bed into like a little survivor bunker. It's going to have water. It's going to have a year's supply of food. It's going to have a little mattress rolled up, or a sleeping bag, fishing pole, tackle box, some food, some water, a little cook stove, some gas cans, propane tank or whatever you need. Maybe a little first aid kit, what else? And then a bag of guns. I don't have guns. I would never have guns because that would be illegal. But, a duffel bag. You need yourself a hunting rifle that can take down big game like deer, moose, elk. Maybe a 22 for small game, squirrel, small birds, things of the sort. Maybe a shotgun with some buckshot and some bird shot for turkey, duck, quail, pheasant, and then a couple pistol pieces that you can keep on you for defense, and then also like an AR for defense. So when you're in the city or in the urban environment, when you got to deal with the zombies, you got that dang AR, you got that piece on your side, you got a little snub nose on your ankle. Maybe a knife. You're going to need a nice knife. A hatchet, a saw, some wire, some paracord. You can buy the paracord that has wire inside of it, and if you open it up, you can fray it, and it's a fire starter. Have yourself some lighters. Have yourself some ferro rods, and be ready to go. You throw the bug out. If you can't get the vehicle, if something happens to the vehicle in the chaos, maybe there's a nuke and your vehicle goes flying. rolls down the street. No more bug out truck, but you still have the bug out bag and the artillery bag, and you just hike it. You just huff it. But optimally, you'd have a bug out whip and a bug out bag. You know, you're gonna have all the necessary supplies. 90 days. That's it. You got to make it 90 days away from people before you come into the city. Then you can come back into the city, scrounge for the leftovers. You know, maybe there'll be zombies walking around. Just double tap. Just double tap. Double tap on the zombies walking around. You know. What about the most dangerous game? What is that? What's the most dangerous game? Hey, fishy, fishy. Her name sounds like Forrest Gump saying Jenny. 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 Baroon. 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 Beef or broccoli? Beef and broccoli. You don't want my shitty walk? All right. What time is it? You know what time it is. Hold on, we're gonna do this the same way I did it last week. I'm just gonna open up the memes straight from Facebook because I don't have time to. I have been grabbing memes onto my phone. Next week, I'll put those on. For now, I have to scroll through 1,000 messages. Currently, Guatemala, and also weird tech news. Currently, Guatemala has 21 fires, 21 forest fires raging in different spots that all started at the same time. And little conspiracy corner for you. Floor messaged me, tells me there's 21 fires here that all started at the same time. And she's like, you were just talking about lasers setting cities on fire in the future. And I've talked a lot about the solar satellites, the satellites that are collecting solar energy so that they can beam it down to Earth. And it's basically a laser of sun energy that they gather on these satellites with these giant solar panels on them. And this ties back to the old J-word space laser conspiracy theory that Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about famously, like in Congress or something. She said it. And I was like, yo, that's ballsy. That was ballsy that she said that. At least call him something different, Marjorie. Call him Raytheon or Solaron, whatever. Stubborn One said Solaron, but I think that might be the type of satellite. The solar panel satellites that beam the sunlight down. I think those are called Solaron satellites, but I thought Raytheon was the company behind that. But I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway, the idea was that in California, they were trying to do some power lines through the woods, and all the environmentalists were like, no, you can't do it. And then all of a sudden, these fires started. Well, the conspiracy theory is that they were testing these solar-powered satellites that they've been building for decades now. They've been working on this. They had this idea like 50 years ago, and they've been working on them for a while. The idea was they were testing those out. That's what happened in California. And I would go farther and say that could be what happened in Hawaii, because if you remember, all the transformers, which should have shut down, got overcharged and they blew up. There was extra power going into, there was too much power going into them, and the transformers started blowing up. Why was that? Why was that? Maybe it's because they overloaded the grid with solar-powered space energy from lasers. Well, anyway, now there's 21 fires at the same time in Guatemala, and they're trying to build a railroad through the jungle. And people are protesting the railroad going up through the jungle, just like the same thing that happened in California and the same thing that was happening in Hawaii with land developers wanting to come there, and they weren't able to do it, and insurance deals from millionaires and billionaires who have property there. They want to build, but it's ancient tribal land, so they sign a deal so that if some crazy natural disaster happens, like giant fires, then we can take over this land and rebuild it how we want to rebuild it. And then Zuckerberg can put his bunker there. Oprah can build her camp there, whatever the heck they're going to do there. Who knows? But the point is, the same thing's happening in Guatemala right now. I mean, I don't know that it's lasers. It's just interesting. A lot of things line up, a lot of commonalities between all three of these stories. So you start seeing more random cities catching on fire, strange fires, power grids being overloaded and exploding, fires. Just remember, they're trying to build a network. They're trying to build a ring around the whole planet. A freaking solar-powered space laser ring. High-power electric lines have always been running through the forest. Bunch of BS. I don't know. I just know that was the lead up to that story. They were protesting in a certain area, and then the fire started. The other theory is that the company that wanted to build the power line, in order to deal with the environmentalist people, they started lighting fires. Another theory is all the homeless people in California go to the woods and they're careless and they don't pick up after themselves and they don't take care of their area. Fire. They start a fire, they get high, they pass out, and then their tent catches on fire. And now the freaking jungle's on fire. The jungle. So lots of theories. I'm just spitballing. I'm just, not saying I 100% believe any of this, but just a thought. Just a thought. 99% of the world runs on fiber optics. Fiber gives humans the runs. What the? I thought fiber did the opposite. I thought fiber firmed it up. Right? No? I thought fiber was supposed to make it more sturdy. Is that wrong? Do I have it backwards? Like grape nuts cereal for old people? Anyway. I'm trying to find the memes. I have to scroll through 1,000 things. Oh, God. I don't know what Stubborn One sent here. I got to kind of check through these real quick. Sometimes he'd be sending me some wild memes. All right. I think we're okay. All right, guys. It's time for the memes. Men have oh, crap. Where'd it go? Men have two fantasies. Starting a family and buying land to live on, or restoring the Roman Empire and making it greater than before. Yep. Roman Empire, not gay. Proven, indisputably, not gay. Not the gay Roman Empire. Wasn't a thing. That's just something that modern day French revolutionary types, feminist types, have pushed this idea that the Roman Empire was gay to normalize gayness in American culture because, we're a civilization like Greece, like ancient Greece, like Rome, that is great. And they want to bring down strong, great men in history. So they just call all the great civilizations gay. So then when another great modern civilization starts turning gay, everybody's like, well, that's normal. That's the same thing that happened in Rome and Greece. If it did happen, it happened right before they got destroyed. But from what I've heard, it didn't really happen. What's up, Spike? It's like Drano. Eat more fiber. It's like Drano. Oh, so it's if you're backed up, you eat fire. Okay, then I need to stay away from fiber because I do not have that problem. I need the opposite. What's the opposite of fiber? And don't say opioids, because yeah, they do the trick, but we're not doing that. If you know what I'm saying, it's the opposite of when you're climbing up a ladder and you feel a little splatter, diarrhea, diarrhea. The opposite of that is what I'm looking for. A natural way. It rhymes with constipation. That's what I'm looking for. Dairy gives you some constipation. Okay, this is gross. Next meme. See, this is why I got to be careful with stubborn ones memes. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this. Never forget what this tyrant said. To conquer a nation, first disarm its citizens. Yeah, he said that. Did he say that? He probably said that. Next. Oh, here. Beta. We got to play that. We disavow that guy for YouTube's sake. Here, you can have my gun, but you have to promise me that if you ever become a fascist dictator, you'll give it right back so I can resist you, okay? Of course. Sure I will. Beta. That's a good one. Next. Last Confederate veteran posing with a fighter jet. Imagine going from muzzle loaders to this ish. Oh, yeah, this old guy right here was the last Confederate veteran posing with a fighter jet. Imagine going from muzzle loaders to this. Yeah. This guy's, that would be crazy. Crazy. War isn't even, yeah, opiates will too. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, flat out. But that's not good. Don't do that. Okay, next. And this exhibit shows an example of how everything made today sucks. Then look at them cheeks. Look at them cheeks on Rogue. Now Rogue got the dang old skinny bottom. What happened to Rogue? This is when I was a kid. Rogue had them cheeks, boy. Now, Rogue looking like a dang boy. Gay. Next. Horrible. The inventors of pillows making sure 2 is too much and 1 isn't enough. Breaking Bad. Boom, boom, boom. Just remember, guys. Spoiler alert. No, I'm kidding. I won't spoil Breaking Bad for anybody again. Next. Ever realize that we cut down Bird's house to make Bird's house? How high are you? 5'7". Where's my drum roll? Rim shot. Nice. Cricket? No? Funny? No? No? Funny? Dr. Phil on The View and Jesse Waters was excellent. Base Dr. Phil. Base Dr. Phil. If you can't go, drink prune juice. No, I need the opposite. I can go. Rogue was always my favorite, but the movies ruined her. Yeah. I could never get into Breaking Bad. That's crazy. I think Breaking Bad's the best show ever made. Next. Porn star Cagney Lynn Carter, gruesome suicide, killed herself. What is this? This is not a... Oh, my God. I was like, this is not a meme. This is not funny. What is this? Let me read this very edited. Corn star Cagney Lynn Carter, gruesome self-deletion, gruesome losing her battle with depression, offed herself with a shotgun in the mouth. This guy said her last load. Oh my God. That's horrible, stubborn one. Where do you find this crap? Oh my gosh. Next. Me and the boys on our way to the principal's office after asking the emo girl if she gets jealous when her phone dies. What is this? What is this? Next! I have no idea what's coming next. How often would you like to get updates about beef stroganoff? Daily. Okay. I don't know about that one. Who? Nobody. Only if something big happens. Only if something big happens in the Stroganoff world. Next. Only a game designed by nerds would have charisma as a fantasy power. That is true. Dungeons and Dragons, that is true. Yep. Dungeons and Dragons, is it beta or is it?
It's a man, baby.
What do you think? I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I would try it. Next. My character would have a lot of riz. Next. Her. He's probably out cheating on me. Me and the boys. We're watching a movie on a cow. These guys are all black. Why are these black guys watching a movie on a projector on a cow? What the heck is this? Where does he find these? Good answer. Charisma is underrated as F. Oh, in Dungeons and Dragons, is it? You can like talk the bad guys out of doing stuff or something. I'm gonna roll to see if I can convince this goblin to put his sword into his own belly. Harikari goblin, roll for charisma. Oh, we hit a 20. Next. When your best friend stops sending you memes and starts sending TikToks links instead. You're going down a path I can't follow, Anakin. You're going down a path I can't follow. I'm not clicking your TikTok links. I don't care how many you send. Just stop sending them. I just want a meme. I don't want a TikTok. Yep, I agree. Next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll do 10 more. When you tell Roomba to clean your room, but it autocorrects to clear the room. What the heck? That's an assault Roomba. That's a dangerous assault Roomba. The heck? Star Wars jumped the shark. White sheets make a great projector screen. That's true. This feels like a gun grabber quote. If you carry a gun with a light on it, when's the last time you needed that? You're not a soldier. You're not in law enforcement. What if it's dark? What if it's dark and my assailant happens to blend in with the night? I'm gonna need a light. Next! Principal giving me 1 week vacation after I won a fight in the school. Nice. That's how you do it right there. Principal giving me 1 week vacation after I won a fight in school. Nice. I like that. Next. The more crutches you have, the more it hurts when they're kicked out from under you. The more crutches you have, the more it hurts when they're kicked out from under you. Facts. Period. The more crutches you have, the more it hurts when they're kicked out from under you. I'm not good at the clap when you talk thing. Period. Why do they put a T at the end of what does that mean? Period. Have you seen that? What is this? Why did they put the T at the end of period? I don't get it. The more crutches you have, the more it hurts. That's your inhaler, Floor. That's your inhaler, Floor. That's a crutch. Because when the grid goes down, you can't get your medication anymore. You can't get your inhaler anymore. You can't go to your orthopedic doctor anymore. You can't get your massages anymore. You can't go to see your chiropractor anymore. What are you going to do? The cavemen didn't have all that, and they made it. They survived. They lived 900 years, allegedly. All right. That's a good one. Next. World War II veterans watching people play video games based on the worst days of their lives. It's another Breaking Bad meme. That's a Better Call Saul meme. World War II veterans watching people play video games based on the worst days of their lives. So true. Yep. Bringing out a veteran can't dang go in any millennial's house without having PTSD because Call of Duty is playing on the screen. They're like, get down! They're shooting! What the? Lizzo on her crossover success. I am not making music for white people. What would happen if Taylor Swift said, I'm not making music for black people? She'd probably get cast out of popular culture and society. She'd be canceled. But Lizzo can say it about white people. And she fat. She thick. If you see her coming at you, you better not be dressed like a dang Twinkie. You better not be wearing yellow, looking like a Twinkie out here. Lizzo comes running, doo, 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 breathing down your neck. She's coming up behind you. And she gets you. Okay. Next. Oh, what is this? Tucker Carlson is un-American for interviewing Putin. Meanwhile, CBS News sits down with Hamas terrorists. Did they really? Did they really? Wow, I'm not surprised. Next. DeSantis. Let's go. Let's go. I like this one. DeSantis, high-heeled boots. Haley, high-heeled stripper shoes. Biden, some Velcro Walmart Bobos. Trump rocking the dang Trump 45s. Let's freaking go.
It's a man, baby.
Hold on. DeSantis shoe?
Beta.
Haley shoe?
Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah.
I don't know why that's still on the soundboard. The Biden shoe?
Yeah. Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Oh, Biden, he murdered a guy. And then the Trump shoe.
It's a man, baby.
The Trump shoe.
Wait till I get my money right.
All right. That's right. Next. Defund the police cafeteria. Defund the police cafeteria. Yeah, they need to defund this dang police cafeteria. Okay, I think we've gotten into ones that we did last week. What's stopping you from achieving your goals? The feds. Okay. And that's it for the memes. All right, we got some rapid fire news. And then we're going to do some Bible thumping. We're going to do a parable. I haven't done any Bible thumping in a while, you know. So we're going to do the parable of the prodigal son. I may have done an episode or a show about this before. And if I did, I probably put more thought into it for that one. This one, I didn't take any notes or pull any. I pulled a couple websites. Maybe we'll read through them, see what their opinion is on it. But I'm just going to read it and give you my thoughts on it. I like the prodigal son. It's a good story. It's a good story. And maybe we'll just read all of Luke. I believe it's Luke 18 or 15. Luke 15. Maybe we'll just read all of Luke 15. It's pretty long. Depends on how much time I have after I do rapid fire news. No, it's not that long. We'll just read all of Luke 15 because I believe the two parables that lead up. I believe the two parables that lead up are also important. The parable of the something lost. But I'm not sure if those are in the lead up. Anyway, he tells two parables and then he gets into the prodigal. So we'll get into all that here in a little bit. But first, let's do rapid fire news. Got an hour and 10 minutes left. We should be good. Oh, we got some reels. Open all in new window. Some funny reels. Speaking of, I did not plan this. Speaking of fiber. Speaking of fiber, me takes one sip of coffee. Also me 2 minutes later. I didn't plan this, guys. I had no idea we were going to be talking about fiber, but that was a great lead in. Okay. What else we got? Wait a minute. That's my dog. Okay. This guy's skiing with his dog.
Here with me? All right, let's go.
Let's go, doggy.
Man, it's so white up here. It's like a sheet of paper, man. So somebody dog. Wait a minute. That's my dog. But you want to go down this hill with me? All right, let's go.
You want to go down this hill with me?
It's so white up here. It's like a sheet of paper, man. So somebody dog. Wait a minute. That's my dog. But you want to go down this.
Wait a minute. Somebody dog followed. Wait, that's my dog. One more time.
Chill with me? All right, let's go.
It's so white up here. It's like a sheet of paper.
Man, it's so white up here. It's like a sheet of paper, man. So somebody dog. Wait a minute. That's my dog. But you want to go down
Somebody
this hill with
dog
me? All right,
followed.
let's go. Man, it's so white up here. It's like a sheet of paper, man. So somebody dog. Wait a minute. That's my dog. But you want to go down this hill with me?
Okay, no more. What is this?
This is what we're going to do. I'm going to kind of just...
So this is a guy I found on YouTube, and he had urban in his name. So he's an urbanite. He's an urbanite like us. This is the Urban Rescue Ranch. So I think he lives in like a city, but he has a rescue ranch for animals set up. This is something Floor would do. Floor would be like, we got to save the opossum. We got to save the armadillo. Let's set up cages in the backyard and make a rescue ranch. A rescue ranch in the backyard for the dogs and the possums. And I found an iguana. He is hurt. He need help. But this guy's got an animal sanctuary. He might live in Australia because he's got an emu. But he's got this emu or ostrich. I think it's an emu. Might be an ostrich. I think it's an ostrich actually. Named Kevin. And if you go through his videos, he's got a bunch of shorts, and like Kevin always attacks him. And in this video, I don't know how they left this on YouTube, but in this video, he deals out a little bit of revenge on Kevin, and this is just very funny. Kevin, meet the trash can lid.
This is what we're going to do. I'm going to kind of just knock some sense into Kevin, and we'll see if I can post this. He's coming back. Interesting. So the point of today, I just have to fix the tent. That's it. Now, you might not think that that's a very hard chore, but it is, especially when none of these other animals are helping you. You're probably wondering, Ben, why are you bringing Poppy in there? Isn't that dangerous? No, and I'm going to show you why. See, I don't even have to hit him.
The ostrich is scared of the possum, and the ostrich is scared of, he raises like nutria, and anytime he needs to deal with the ostrich enclosure, Kevin is an asshole. But if he takes a little creature in there on his shoulder, Kevin is scared of the little creatures. It's amazing, guys. This is great content. You need to go check out. I'll show his channel one more time. You need to check out this guy's channel. Kevin is scared of the little creatures, and he'll run away.
He just knows. Poppy doesn't care. Poppy didn't really think about much. Kevin.
Now he kissed the opossum. He kissed the opossum. That's gross. I would not be kissing an opossum.
You're coming to attack me, even though I just kind of displayed my dominance. Oh, hello.
Hold on, that last one was the best. We got to see that. Oh,
no, I mean, listen, bro.
Oh, by the way, this that came up next, I think we might. I don't like the flat Earth stuff, and I don't like covering flat Earth debates. But I might do a stream sometime this week playing Terraria and reviewing. I've already listened to this debate, so I've already pre-screened it. But this is JP, who's been in my chat before. He's pretty well known in the Christian circles. I don't think my channel is Christian enough for him. I think that, if there's other Christian channels where they're specifically a Christian channel and there's no profanity, no talking about dirty stuff, and sometimes we go a little off the rails here. This is not a Christian channel, so to speak, but I do try to spread some Christian values and look at things from a Christian perspective. But sometimes we get into some mess, and I'm trying to work on that. But JP, he's more of a wholesome guy, and that's Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell, the UFC fighter, I love Bryce Mitchell. He's the one who walked out on the stage when he won the fight with a Bible. He pulled a Bible out of the bucket and held it up on the stage. I've got some shorts of him on my channel. He's a based guy, but he's a flat earther. Anyway, JP and Bryce had a flat earth debate, and I don't know. My conclusion is Bryce needs to stick to knocking people out and not worry about debating flat earth. But it was a decent flat. I mean, it wasn't a decent flat earth debate. It was kind of a whack flat earth debate, but I still would like to review it on the channel just because I like Bryce. And I want to convince him to get out of the flat earth debate circles and, just stick to fighting people. But anyway, this is not what was supposed to pull up. We need to go back.
This is what we're going to do. I'm going to kind of just knock some sense into Kevin, and we'll see.
One more time, I just want to show you the last one.
Kevin, looks like you're coming to attack me, even though I just kind of displayed my dominance.
Oh, hello.
That last move. Wow! Whacks the dang ostrich with a trash can lid. So that's the Urban Rescue Ranch. The Urban Rescue Ranch. Okay. All right. I don't know if this is actually real, but it's funny. I don't know if this is a meme or if this is real. If this is a long form meme. Chuck E. Cheese in Roseville is adding a distinctive flair to children's birthday celebrations with the introduction of themed parties inspired by the iconic music group Insane Clown Posse. Catering to a range of tastes and interests, this family-friendly entertainment venue now offers an alternative party experience for parents seeking something unique for their kids. The ICP-themed parties promise vibrant decorations, kid-friendly music from the band's repertoire, and special appearance by Chuck E. Cheese characters donning clown-inspired costumes. In an exciting addition, the parties will also feature ICP music, Faygo bottle service, and a designated smoking section for Juggalo parents, ensuring a diverse and memorable experience for all. ICP-themed Roseville parties at Chuck E. Cheese. What do you guys think? Is this real or is it fake? Is this fake news? Is this a meme or is this real? I don't know. What you talk about, JS? We'll be good, I promise. We'll be good, we promise. What happened? Slowpoke Rodriguez. If you like truth, you like flat earth. Nah, I disagree. I think if you're being ignorant, and I mean that choose that word specifically because you're ignoring a lot of things. So it's ignorance. Then flat earth is cool. Which is my whole point when I review the debate. I'll show you that Bryce Mitchell has no idea what he's talking about, but he believes in these things that he really doesn't know anything about. And he says a bunch of stuff that he's heard people say that if you just took 2 seconds to look into it, you'd find out it's not true. Like NASA does not mean deception in Hebrew or whatever they say. There is no Alaskan treaty to where people can't go to Alaska. That's a lie. Yeah, all kinds of things that they just repeat because they heard somebody say it. The 8 meters per inch squared or whatever, that's a parabolic equation to find the parabola of a circle. It has nothing to do with the slope of the earth. All kinds of things like that. So, and if you just, looked into it for 2 seconds, but not, you have to look at the opposition's ideas, then you'd see. You don't have to be a scientist or anything like that. You can do your own simple experiments. Flat earthers have done experiments and they disprove their own theories, and then they choose to ignore it. That's cognitive dissonance. It's being proved wrong, proving yourself wrong, and still not believing the proof. There is proof of the shape of the earth. This is a physical thing. There's spiritual things that I can't prove to you. I can't prove to you that God exists. I can give you a bunch of good arguments for why God exists. And maybe if the amalgamation of all my arguments adds up to enough proof, then it will prove it to some people, maybe not other people. Depends on where their barrier for proof is or truth. But when we're talking about the physical shape of the earth, it's easily provable, observable, testable, experimentable, all that stuff. It's just basic science, and anything else is just denial and ignorance. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying you're ignorant because you're ignoring facts. But anyway, this isn't a flat Earth thing. But maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll watch that debate while playing Terraria. Terraria is a flat Earth. Okay, what else? Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. This is what I'm always talking about, how this is a lie. This is a lie. This right here was great. This is a great time in history. This is a great architectural masterpiece, the Roman Colosseums. Or the Greek, is it Greek or Roman? I get it mixed up. Anyway, the Colosseum in Rome. Great feat of architecture, still stands to this day. Beautiful craftsmanship, crazy tunnels underneath it, gladiator battles, to the death with lions and stuff. This is amazing. This was an amazing piece of history. This kept humanity strong. Male competition, seeing some blood, seeing some battle. This kept us strong. This kept our testosterone high. This is trying to be like this, and maybe for some time it was close. Now it's not. But this is not a good comparison. This is not an apt comparison. These are not the same things. Okay. Anyway. Next. Breaking news. U.S. and U.K. conduct fourth round of joint airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. What's going on around the world? We got a couple stories relating to Israel stuff and Ukraine stuff. And then one of these stories is crazy. So, and I didn't know if it was real at first, but we'll get to it in a second. Let's just read through this a little bit real quick. U.S. and U.K. together launched more than a dozen airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen Saturday. We're going to be going to war with the whole Middle East soon, and China and Russia. 2 U.S. officials confirmed to CBS News this is the fourth round of joint coalition strikes since January 11th to pressure the Houthis to stop attacking commercial shipping lanes in the Red Sea. The strikes hit 18 Houthi targets across 8 locations in Yemen, according to a joint statement released by a coalition of nations involved in Saturday's actions, which include the militaries of Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. The strikes targeted Houthi underground weapons storage facilities, missile storage facilities, one-way attack unmanned aerial systems, air defense systems, radars, and a helicopter, the statement read. In the past few weeks, the U.S. has taken more than 30 self-defense strikes against Houthi weapons that were prepared to launch to conduct attacks on commercial or U.S. Navy ships, according to U.S. Central Command. The United States will not hesitate to take action as needed to defend lives and the free flow of commerce in one of the world's most critical waterways, Defense Secretary Lord Austin said. I told you, Floor, I told you the whole world's trade routes, we control all of it, and we defend all of it. And we defend all these countries, and we provide all their GDP. We send them our military. We help them bolster their economies, bolster their social safety nets, and then people complain and hate America. They hate Christians. They hate America. They hate white people, and that's fine. Meanwhile, we take care of everybody else, and they all hate us. So, yeah, just remember that when you are in Guatemala or in some foreign country and they're telling you all the bad things that America did. We did a lot of good things for you too. Remember that. The United States will not hesitate to take action as needed to defend the lives and free flow of waterways, Defense Secretary Lord Austin said. We will continue to make it clear to the Houthis that they will bear the consequences if they do not stop their illegal attacks, which harm Middle Eastern economies, cause environmental damage, and disrupt the delivery of humanitarian aid to Yemen and other countries. So that's all we're going to read on that. Let's see. I already read about this. Network funded by the Koch brothers says it will stop sending Nikki Haley presidential campaign. We already read about that earlier. Alabama, this is update on the Alabama abortion ban. Alabama Republican urges fertility clinics to reopen. This is an Alabama Republican urging the fertility clinics to reopen. Alabama state lawmaker Representative Susan Du Bois represents Hoover. She was elected in 2007. Alabama's Republican lawmakers are considering legislation to protect in vitro fertilization in their vision of the right to life following the Alabama Supreme Court's recent ruling that frozen embryos are people-based. While legislation proceeds, some conservatives said over the weekend Alabama fertility clinics that shut down last week should reopen. These clinics should start providing these services again. It is not fair to patients to have their embryos held hostage and the procedures canceled. I mean, I'm kind of okay with just shutting them all down, and then the ones that are already frozen, protect those, but stop doing it. What's wrong with that? She pointed out to Attorney General Steve Marshall's statement on Friday that his office had no intention of prosecuting IVF clinics or families who use the procedure. The Alabama Supreme Court ruling held that frozen embryos had the same status as children in wrongful death lawsuits. That's based. But they're trying to reopen the fertility. So when they did this, the fertility clinics closed down, and now some of these Republicans are trying to get them to reopen. Let them stay closed down. Well, right. If they're holding the embryos hostage and we're looking at those embryos as life, then yeah, they need to reopen for that. But they don't need to keep freezing embryos. Let's just stop doing that. Because if embryos are humans, then I don't think humans should be frozen. I don't think cold is not fun. I don't think humans want to be frozen. Unless you're cryogenically freezing some rich person. I don't know. But so we read about the Houthis. Let's do Ukraine update. And then we have a crazy update involving the Israel-Palestine war. A crazy last story. But first, update on Ukraine. 31,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed so far in the war, Zelensky says. This is from NPR. In Kiev, Ukraine, at least 31,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began 2 years ago. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told reporters at a forum on Sunday. It's the first time Ukraine has publicly given a figure for military casualties. Though Zelensky declined to say how many soldiers are wounded or missing, saying the information would help Russia, U.S. officials have said the number of dead is much higher. Zelensky also suggested that the Kremlin got a hold of Ukraine's counteroffensive plans last summer, and that this year several plans will be prepared because of information leaks. So 31,000 Ukrainian troops dead is the number that they're putting out there. That's kind of crazy. Oh, where's my? Look at that! Boom. Danny Bonaduce could ride a unicycle. I don't know what that means. Shout out to Danny Bonaduce. I don't know who that is. Played a partridge. Please don't read this, Josh. I just read it. Wait, what am I? Classier than cheese tray from Walmart. Flat Earth is way more believable than Transformers. At least we can all agree on that. Well, I mean, I believe one exists and the other one doesn't. So I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't think that they actually, I get what you're saying. I don't think they actually change to a different thing. But I do see those people. Okay, I need to chill. I blame Stubbs. Yep, it's always Stubborn's fault. Bryce knows we're being lied to. I'm sure we're lied to about a lot of stuff, just not the shape of the earth. We were being lied to about the shape of the earth way back when Pythagoras was going to get his head cut off for saying the world was round, and they didn't want Christopher Columbus to go find the Americas because they told him he would fall off the edge of the earth and that there were sea monsters out there. But he went anyway, and he explored, and he found the Americas. It's crazy. It's almost like they were trying to stop us from exploring. And then when we did, we found out that they were lying to us. And now the flat earthers are going backwards, and they're being like the elites from the past who we defied to find out the truth. They were lying. The elites were lying to us, and we explored, and we did science, and we figured out the truth, and we debunked the elites. And we changed the narrative to the truth. We got tired of the lie and we changed it to the truth. Now with reverse Flynn effect, which is average IQ is going down, people are being dumbed down and demoralized. Now we're trying to revert back to the ancient elites that were telling us the earth was flat. We're going back to that, and we're trying to spread the lie because we have to stifle people from learning the truth. I get it. It's just the flat earthers don't see that they're falling back into the old deception that we overcame. People walking under a spinning ball is common sense. Yes. This chat is getting naughty. Naughty chat. Okay. Last story. Crazy story Starber1 sent me. So first, it was like a meme he sent. He said, I don't know if this is real. And then he found the article. But this news site here looks kind of questionable. Look at all the pop-ups. Look at all the ads and stuff. This is news18.com. Never heard of it. I don't know what it is. So I was like, I don't know if I want to report on this. I don't know if I trust this website. I'm probably getting viruses just from being on this website. But then I saw the same story was being reported on by Axios. Now, I think Axios is liberal leaning. So there probably is a spin to it. But this is a much bigger, much more creditable mainstream media network. So if you find it on some little obsolete network and then you also find it on a big one, could be true. Now, there could be a lot of propaganda. It could be, maybe there's some things they're not telling us. Maybe this was a performance piece, kind of like a performance piece. Like maybe the guy put some of that anti-fire retardant stuff on his body before he did. I've lit myself on fire twice, just so you guys know. Back when Jackass was a thing, I lit myself on fire twice. I had a trench coat that we doused in gasoline. And then under the trench coat, I had like 4 layers of clothes that we soaked in ice water. We had a big bucket of ice water. We soaked all the clothes in ice water. I put on like 4 layers of long sleeve sweatpants, all that stuff. I was bundled up and freezing. And then we put a trench coat soaked in gasoline on me. And I wrapped my head in a wet towel and we lit it on fire. I did that twice. Once I did it on a dock and then I jumped into the lake. And then once I did it on the shore of the lake in Stagecoach and I just dove into the water. Neither times, I think we recorded it on a big old VHS camera when I did it off the dock, but we didn't record it the second time I did it. And the second time was way cooler because it wouldn't work at first. We put the gasoline on and then I put the coat on and the water soaked through and it wouldn't light. So we used more gasoline. We just dumped gasoline on it. And my boy lit a stick on fire and he touched the stick to me and I went boom, like a whole fire, and it freaked me out. And I dove into the water and he said, bro, when you dove into the water, you were like still on fire as you were going into the water. The fire didn't go out until I was like deep under the water. But anyway, so I lit myself on fire twice. You could survive it. So I don't know. I'm sniffing that this is like a performance piece or something for propaganda purposes, but let me read the story to you. U.S. soldier sets himself on fire outside Israeli embassy in Washington to protest Gaza war. A U.S. Air Force soldier is in critical condition after he set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. He live streamed the self-immolation action on Twitch, where he captured himself standing outside the gates of the Israeli embassy and identifying himself as a member of the U.S. Air Force. I will no longer be complicit in genocide in Gaza. I am about to engage in an extreme act of protest, the man apparently said before setting himself alight and repeatedly shouting, "Free Palestine." Is there video of this? See, I don't even know if this picture is real. But, like, I don't know if this is a stock image, but I think that's the picture of the guy. He live streamed it on Twitch. That's crazy. And so basically he's protesting the war. He's pro-Palestinian, I guess. He's protesting the war, saying that it's a genocide on Gaza Strip. And he's in the Air Force and he lights himself on fire. He didn't die. He's in critical condition. And Axios is reporting on it. U.S. Airman he died. He's dead. Wow. Okay, so maybe it wasn't a performance piece. doesn't necessarily mean that it's, they can lie. I know it's crazy, but the media can lie. So I'm just saying, but apparently, according to Axios, he died. He did not make it. That's wild. A U.S. airman has died after setting himself on fire Sunday outside the Israeli embassy, authorities confirmed on Monday. A video posted online showed the man, identified as Senior Airman Aaron Bushnell, 25, of Whitman, Massachusetts, shouting "Free Palestine" as he burned during the incident, which lasted about a minute before law enforcement officers extinguished the flame at about 1 p.m. The Israeli embassy said in a statement that none of its staff was injured and all were safe. Bushnell was assigned to the 70th Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Wing, according to the U.S. Air Force statement emailed on Monday evening. He was a cyber defense operations specialist with the 531st Intelligence Support Squadron at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas, per the statement. He served on active duty since May 2020. This is wild. Dead or Elvis dead? Right. Gaza is one big... The sketchy sites catch stories early. The story was all over the bigger sites this morning. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's not. Supermarket tabloids. What about supermarket tabloids? You remember those? Bill Clinton is an alien. And he murdered a guy. So, Metropolitan Police Department said in a statement earlier Monday, arrived on the scene. He was transported local where he later died. Wow. He said he would no longer be complicit in genocide, which the Israeli military was accused of committing in Gaza in an international court of justice. So, crazy story. That's wild. But that's it for all of the news. All right, guys. We're going to bust through Luke 15 real quick. We're going to do some Bible thumping. We're going to read the story of the prodigal son, the parable of the prodigal son. Before we do that, I'm going to do some shilling for myself. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell everybody. If you're ever watching the show later in the future, drop some timestamps in the comment section. Just drop a comment, say hi, or just drop a timestamp. Say, you should clip this. It was funny. Throw me some timestamps in the comments. I appreciate it. Last but not least, if you want to help your boy out financially, you want to send a donation to the channel, help keep me motivated to do this when I got to wake up after 4 hours of sleep because Floor woke me up early. You could hit up the Cashapp. Cashapp $ Dreadedconservative. Buy me a coffee, buy me a pizza, a little $5 or $10. Hit it up. You could do a super chat. You could become a member of the channel. YouTube takes 30%, so I prefer the Cash Apps. But if you want to do a super chat, feel free to do so. If you want to become a member, feel free to do so. Some of these streams I've been doing get a little too wild late at night, so I'm making them members only. I made the last stream members only. So we got into some nasty jokes at the end. But consider becoming a member. Hit up the Cash App, all the good stuff. Now, let's do some Bible thumping. So, first, I do have some articles. We can check out. Hold on, I just lost my streaming window. There it is. Okay. Never forget Bat Boy. Supermarket tabloids are the real truth. Freedom for Bat Boy. Bat Boy. Bat Boy. There is one thing I wanted to read from, I think it's gotquestions.org or it was Crosswalk, one of those two websites. Okay. What is the meaning of the prodigal son and 3 takeaways? We'll read this. There's one thing I wanted to read first. I don't know where it went. Anyway, there was one thing I was reading last night that said that the 2 parables There's two parables that come before. All right, two important parables before the prodigal son. As you look at this story, so I'm reading from Crosswalk. I thought this was interesting. And so just something to remember before we read it. The two parables that lead up to the prodigal son are important. They play into it. So from crosswalk.com, two important parables before the prodigal son. As you look at this story, you must look at the stories Jesus told just before. These two stories can shed light on the meaning of the prodigal son story. In Luke 15, 1 through 10, Jesus shares parables about lost things. One was a lost sheep, the other was a lost coin. If you read those verses, the Pharisees were muttering because Jesus was eating with sinners. Here's what they said. And I'm going to read all the verses here in a minute, but we'll just read it here in a second. But the Pharisees were muttering because he was eating with sinners. In response to their muttering, Jesus tells them the two stories mentioned above. When he finishes each one, he mentions a similar thought or moral to the story. Rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep. I tell you that in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over the one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin. In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. When you understand these two stories, you will be on your way to understanding the meaning of the parable of the prodigal son. I love how the New Living Translation positions Jesus tells that's editorial. I don't need that. This means the story of the prodigal son is a continuation of the theme established in the previous parables. So I'm going to read it. I don't have a lot of light. Oh, it's dark in here. JS members only equals Dean. There was more members. I don't even think Dean's a member anymore. All right. So we're going to read all of Luke 15. The prodigal son starts at verse 11 through 32. But we're going to read the parables leading up to it first. So this is Luke 15, 1, starting at 1. Then drew near unto him all the publicans and sinners for to hear him. And the Pharisees and scribes murmured, saying, This man receiveth sinners and eateth with them. So they're muttering, they're saying, Jesus eats with sinners. Why is he talking to sinners? Why is he eating with sinners? Why is he even associating with sinners? And spake this parable unto them, saying, What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lose one of them, doth not leave the 99 in the wilderness, and go after that which is lost until he find it? And when he hath found it, he layeth it on his shoulders, rejoicing. This is the lost sheep, the one over the 99, the one lost sheep over the 99. And then he cometh home and calleth together his friends and neighbors, saying unto them, Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost. I say unto you that likewise joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that repenteth, more than over 99 just persons which need no repentance. Either what woman having 10 pieces of silver, if she loses one piece, doth not light a candle and sweep the house and seek diligently till she find it? And when she hath found it, she calleth her friends and her neighbors together, saying, Rejoice with me, for I found the piece which I had lost. Likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner that repenteth. Now we get into the prodigal son parable. So those are the lead-ins. And basically, he's giving three parables that tell the same story. That the sinner who repents, the angels rejoice more over that than the righteous man who just gets into heaven because he's righteous. He was raised righteous. He lived righteous. He never had any adversity. He never had any struggle. And I believe this is possible. It says it's possible. It is possible. It's rare. It's rare. Maybe it's 1 in 1,000 men and no women among them all. That if your parents are right, if your parents are righteous, your parents have been born again of the Father, your parents are righteous and they raise you right, that maybe you never have to, you're not hard-headed. You don't have to come up through all this adversity, and you just live life right, and you get into heaven, and the angels rejoice. But the angels rejoice more for the one that was lost and found their way back. They went astray and they found their way back, and that's the moral of this story and the moral of the previous two parables. So, verse 11, and he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided them his living. He divided unto them his living. So the son wants his rights, you know, his rights, the money that his dad's going to give him when he dies, you know, the money that the dad has allotted for his son. The younger son said, Dad, give me my money. Give me my money now. It's my money and I want it now. It's my money and I need it now. Dad says, all right, I'm going to give you the money. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. So he basically went out and partied. He squandered his dad's money, and he went out and partied and had fun, traveled around, went on adventures and journeys, but he squandered his money, and he was living a riotous life, a party. He was partying. He was living a crazy life, you know, and he wasted all the money. So, and when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. He's suffering now. He's homeless. He's starving. He's struggling. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. So now he's out there with the pigs. He's out there feeding the pigs in the field just to get by. Life is rough. There's a famine. He's hungry. He's miserable. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. Nobody's giving him food. He has no money. He's eating with the pigs. He's eating from the trough with the swine. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger? My dad's servants are doing better than me. I could have stayed with my father, but I went out here and lived like a crazy person, spent all my money that my dad gave me, and his servants live better than I do. I'm eating with pigs. I'm sleeping with pigs. And that's when he came to himself. He had a moment of clarity, you know. He probably has a lot of doubt and worry and anger and fear, and he's not clear-headed a lot. He's just struggling. He's just trying to survive. But he has a moment of clarity, and he says, man, I'm an idiot. I could have just stayed at home, and my dad's servants got more than I got. They got enough to spare. So he said, I will arise, in verse 18, I will arise and go to my father, and I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. Dad, I'm sorry. I sinned. I was wrong. Make me your servant. You know, make me your servant. I'll just be your servant. You don't got to give me any money. I'll be a servant. Just take me back into your house. I'll do anything. I'll be the lowest level on the totem pole. I don't care. I just want to be back in your house, Father. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, and in thy sight I am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fatted calf. The fatted calf was for special ceremonies. It was for the once a year feast. The fatted calf was the special calf that we're not selling. It's not that's the family fatted calf. That's for when we have our feasts, you know. That's the special calf. The father said, Bring hither the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and he is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be married. And this is why when you're not born again, you're already dead. You're living in death constantly. You're suffering and dying constantly. It is death. When you're born again, that's when you live. You got once to live and once to die. And until you start living, you're dying. And once you start living, you can't die again. You can drop your body, but you can't die. You already died. You're already dead. You were dead. Now you're alive. So, for this my son was dead. This is verse 24. It's powerful. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found, and they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called to one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, Thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry, and he would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. So the older son who never left, the older son who stayed on the right path, stayed with his father, you know, he's like, this idiot comes back and you're giving him the fatted calf, Dad. You're giving him the nice robe and ring. What do you mean? He's an idiot. He left. He took all the money and he spent it all. It's all gone, Dad. What are you doing? Why are you bringing him back into the house? Keep him out there. Kick him out. He's a piece of crap. You know, he's jealous. He's angry and he's jealous at his father. And he's the good son, quote unquote. He's the good son who never left, and he never faced adversity. He never struggled. He just stayed there with his dad. He's the good son, right? But he's angry because the father is embracing the son who was lost and found his way home. He gets angry over that. He was angry and would not go in. Therefore he came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandment. And yet thou never gavest me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. A kid meaning a goat. Like, you haven't even given me a goat to have a party with my friends so we could eat it and have a feast. But you killed the fatted calf for him? That's what he's saying. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, he was sleeping with some sluts, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, this is the father saying to the son, and he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Everything I have is yours. You've always been here, and everything I have is yours. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. And that's the end. That's the last, kind of an anticlimactic ending verse. He just repeated what he said earlier. But the point is, the good son got angry and jealous of his brother, who was the bad son. The bad son. But the bad son came back, and the father celebrated. And he's like, why are you jealous? You have everything I have, you know? But he was lost, and now he's found. And we're going to forgive him, just like Jesus would forgive him. Just like Jesus would search for the lost sheep, you know? And judgy, jealous people will get mad about that and say, why you know, Jesus, why are you worried about the lost sheep? Why aren't you taking care of the other 99? And Jesus like, the other 99 are good. I trained them well. You know, I trained them well. They're not going to go anywhere. They listen. But this one, he's hard-headed. So he needs to go. He got lost. He's stuck in the brambles, and he's crying for help. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to rescue him from the thorns, and I'm going to pull him out. That's deep. That's deep. And that's the story. That's one of my favorite parables in the Bible. So we'll read some more stuff from Crosswalk and from godanswers.org. See what their thoughts are on it. I kind of give my thoughts on it as I read it. And I understand I'm reading King James, so I know some of that language can be a little weird sometimes. Let's see what the chat had to say. If they're saying anything about what I was saying. Looks like not much. I hope you didn't mess up the lyrics. I will bet you salvation that I don't know what that means. was blind, but now I see. The Good Son was a creepy movie. I don't know that. Okay. Let's see. 3 key truths in the prodigal son parable. It's about 2 sons, not one. Right. It's called the prodigal son, but the other son is just as important in the story as the prodigal son. The angry son. The good son became angry. Jesus begins telling the story by saying a father had 2 sons. In telling the story, we see the mastery and wisdom of Jesus. Consider this for a moment. Who was in the room when Jesus was telling this story? Tax collectors, sinners, Pharisees, and teachers of the law. Whether the people in the room recognized it or not, the 2 sons represented everyone who was in the room. The younger son, the prodigal, represented the tax collectors and sinners. The older son represented the Pharisees and teachers of the law. There was one son who was lost outside the house and one son lost inside of the house. Ooh, that's deep. I like that. I like that. You can still be lost even when you're inside your father's house. Those are the people. Yep, that's so true. Let's jump to the end of the story to show my point about the lost son in the house. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came to the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother got angry, and refused to go in. When you read this, does that remind you of anyone? It sounds a lot like those muttering Pharisees and teachers of the law complaining because Jesus is eating with sinners and tax collectors. I don't know if they saw themselves in the story, but Jesus was talking directly to them. The father loved both sons. That's right. He loved both of the sons. When the story is told, this is the image we often remember. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran and threw his arms around him and kissed him. We see this loving father who runs with compassion and great love towards his son because he has returned. The father didn't just have compassion for that son, he had compassion for the other son as well. In these 2 pictures, we see how great the Father's love is. Here's another way of looking at it. God doesn't just love the church. He loves the unchurched. He doesn't just love those who have fallen away. He loves those who have never come in. He loves the ones who have heard the gospel just as much as the ones who haven't, and he pursues both of them with the same amount of love. When you read this story, remember the great love of the Father. He loved both sons. The Father had to redeem both sons. Yep, there was a lesson for both sons. They both had to be redeemed. The one had to go out and learn the hard way. The other one probably learned the lesson easier, but he still got angry over something he shouldn't have been angry about. The conclusion, let's see what their conclusion is. The beauty of the story is that eventually both sons end up rejoicing with the father. This is the father's heart. Did the second son end up rejoicing with the father though? They didn't get to that part. Seems like maybe he's adding a little bit because it doesn't actually say that the other son rejoiced with the father. He was angry, and then the father repeats himself, and then it ends. Let's see. He answered and said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed at any time. But as soon as this thy son was come, which have devoured the living with harlots, thou hast killed him. And he said to him, Son, yeah, see, he doesn't. I don't know where this guy from Crosswalk gets that he rejoiced with both the sons. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this thy brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and now is found. Yeah, I guess. It's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't actually say that the other son rejoices with the father. But hopefully he learned the lesson. It's kind of a cliffhanger ending. Because the very next verse, the very next chapter goes into the parable of the rich man, the dishonest steward parable. 8 pound, 6 ounce little baby Jesus. Yep. As 2 Peter 3:9 reminds us, God is patient, not wanting anyone to perish. The same love and compassion he showed with the two sons, he shows to you and me today. What a wonderful God we serve. Yeah, so that's Crosswalk. Gotquestions.org. Let's see what they're saying. What is the meaning of the parable of the prodigal son? Can we just watch this?
What is the meaning of the parable of the prodigal son? We're going to answer that question. First, this is a brief overview of the parable of the prodigal son.
I just gave the meaning of the prodigal. No, but we're going to watch a video, see what they have to say. Watch this video, see what gotquestions.org.
To realize the full scope of this topic, please visit our website, gotquestions.org. The parable of the prodigal son is found in Luke 15:11-32. The main character in the parable, the forgiving father, whose character remains constant throughout the story, is a picture of God. In telling the story, Jesus identifies himself with God in his loving attitude to the lost. The younger son symbolizes the lost, and the elder brother represents the self-righteous. The major theme of this parable.
I don't know who picked these pictures, but the prodigal son should have looked like this. This guy looks like a hobo, kind of. This should have been the prodigal son, and this should have been the older son. I don't know who picked these pictures, but they did a bad job. Also, both these guys don't look like this guy. Bad picture job, whoever edited this video.
Isn't so much the conversion of the sinner, but rather the restoration of a believer into fellowship with the Father. We see in this story the graciousness of the Father, overshadowing the sinfulness of the Son, as it is the memory of the Father's goodness that brings the prodigal son to repentance. First, the younger son asks his father for his share of his estate. Though it was perfectly within his rights to ask, it was not really a loving thing to do, as it implied that he wished his father was dead. Instead of rebuking his son, the father patiently grants him his request. This is a picture of God letting a sinner go his own way. Reading on, we find that he travels to a distant country, and this physical departure was a display of his willful disobedience to all the goodness his father had offered. In this process, he wastes all his father had worked so hard for on selfish, shallow fulfillment, losing
and sluts.
Everything. At this point, he sells himself into physical slavery to a Gentile and finds himself feeding pigs, a detestable job to the Jewish people. Once his wealth and his food were gone, so were his friends. It is a picture of what sin really does in a person's life when he rejects the Father's will. The son begins to reflect on his condition and realizes that even his father's servants had it better than he. This is reflective of the sinner when he or she discovers the destitute condition of their life because of sin. It is the realization that apart from God, there is no hope. This is exactly what conversion is all about. Jesus portrays the father as waiting for his son and notices him while he is still a long way off. During that time, it was not the custom of men to run, yet the father runs to greet his son. When the
little things like that are interesting to me. It was men didn't run back then. I guess that's pretty base because I say that all the time. Men aren't supposed to run. It's not good for your testes. But I don't mean to be offensive when I say that, but literally it's not good. It reduces testosterone and it can cause testicular problems and cancer and stuff like that if you're doing a lot of biking and running and cardio stuff as a man. So, and it comes from, I guess, ancient Jewish tradition. Men weren't supposed to run back then. So, but he ran to his son. That's based.
The father reaches his son. Not only does he throw his arms around him, but he also greets him with a kiss. This is a picture of how our Heavenly Father feels towards sinners who repent. God greatly loves us, patiently waits for us to repent so he can show us his great mercy because he does not want any.
This music is going to be copyrighted.
To perish. This prodigal son was satisfied to return home as a slave, but to his surprise and delight is restored back into the full privilege of being his father's son. That is what God's grace does for a penitent sinner. The father then orders the servants to bring the best robe, a ring for the son's hand, and sandals for his feet. All these things represent what we receive in Christ upon salvation.
I wonder if they were Trump sandals. I wonder if he got some of them dang Trump sandals.
Instead of condemnation, there is rejoicing for a son who had been dead but is now alive. This is a picture of what occurs in heaven over one repentant sinner. Now to the final and tragic character in the parable of the prodigal son, the older son, who worked hard, obeyed his father, and brought no disgrace to his family or townspeople. It is obvious by his words and action that he is not showing love for his father or brother. One of the duties of the eldest son would have been to include reconciliation between the father and his son. Yet he remains in the field instead of in the house where he should have been.
He was jealous and he was pouting and he was angry. He was being a mama. But notice how there's no mama in this story. That's important too. They're not going to mention that, but there's no mama in this story. Just like Jesus was the son of the Father. He wasn't born of the woman. He popped out of a woman, but he wasn't really born of the woman like we are. So he didn't have that curse of the mother from Eve. Jesus didn't have to deal with that. We have to deal with that. And we have to follow our brother to get to our Father to overcome that. But this story specifically, this is how you know that they're talking about, it's a analogy for God and the sinners, because there's no mother in the story.
This act alone would have brought public disgrace upon the father. The older brother's
Trump chanclas.
focus was on himself, and as a result, there is no joy in his brother's arrival home. The older son never utilized the blessings at his disposal. We do not know how this story ended for the oldest son, but we do know that the Pharisees continued.
Hold on, so that said Galatians 5:22. So this is a related verse, I guess. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. That's the fruits of the Spirit. The older son never utilized the blessings at his disposal. So it's talking about the fruits of the Spirit. So these are not references to the prodigal son story. I thought this was more verses about the prodigal son, but these are just reference verses talking about blessings. 2 Peter 1:5. For this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness mutual affection, and to mutual affection love. Dang, I like that. For this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness mutual affection, and to mutual affection love. Knowledge. Look at that. I guess you can't say that knowledge is evil when you don't cherry pick. Anyway.
We do not know how this story ended for the oldest son, but we do know that the Pharisees continued to oppose Jesus and separate themselves from his followers. Despite the Father's pleading for them to come in, they refused and were the ones who instigated the arrest and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. A tragic ending to a story filled with such hope, mercy, joy, and forgiveness. The picture of the Father receiving the Son back into relationship is a picture of how we should respond to repentant sinners as well. All have sinned and fall short.
If you're going to be blasphemous, go somewhere else.
Of the glory of God. We are included in that all, and must remember that all our righteous acts are like filthy rags apart from Christ. It is only by God's grace that we are saved, not by works that we may boast of. That is the core message of the parable of the prodigal son. That answers the question, what is the meaning of the parable of the prodigal son? Research this question further on our website.
That was an okay video, but I think I did a fine job covering all that. Let's see if we got any paintings or images. We got some images here. Some dang prodigal son images. Okay, I like it. I see you. Any of this? Who's these painters? We got any like Michelangelos or anything? Pretty cool. But that's it. That's the story of the prodigal son. my thoughts on it, all the good stuff. What'd you guys think? Seesaw missed it. Where's Seesaw? The older son was like, okay, now give me my inheritance so I can go party it away and come back for my welcome home feast. Right. Yeah. Why can't I do that, Dad? Sluts are a blessing and a curse. Well, no, I don't think they're a blessing, but. And no, Jesus did not do any of that stuff. That's a degenerate question. I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. We got like 5 minutes to kill before I got to end the show. The King of all kings must have been sought after, is all I'm saying. No, he was hated and rejected in most places that he went. They said he wasn't attractive. He walked around looking dirty, unattractive. He looked like a drunk. He was like a drunk. He looked like a drunk, they said. And he did drink a lot of wine. And he was a nomad, and he was wandering from place to place. He probably had some long, nappy dreadlocks because he didn't have Pantene Pro V. He didn't have a comb. He was from Nazareth. So he probably followed some Nazarene teachings and traditions, which would be don't cut your hair, don't let a razor touch your head. So he probably looked a mess. And he wasn't appealing to the eye. And his personality, people didn't like his personality either because he was very blunt and straightforward and convicted in what he knew to be true. And people didn't like that, especially the elites and the church leaders. They didn't like it. They didn't like how he could walk up in a synagogue and he didn't even know how to read. And he knew the scriptures better than they knew the scriptures. And he didn't even know how to read. You know how I know he didn't know how to read? Because Jesus and the disciples would have spoke Aramaic, not Hebrew. The only writing for scriptures at that time was Hebrew. When Jesus got up in Luke and he quoted Isaiah, he was not reading. He was speaking in Arabic, and he had a Hebrew scripture in front of him. Only the elites and the church leaders would have known how to read Hebrew. Jesus quoted it in Aramaic. So he wasn't reading the scriptures. Maybe he could recognize the symbols and he knew the general area that what he was quoting was in, so he could have opened the scroll and made it look like he was reading. But yeah, the Aramaic scriptures weren't written until years later. It was Hebrew. It was written in Hebrew, and only the very, 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 very top leaders of the church knew how to read it. And you would learn through oral training and word of mouth. But Jesus knew the scriptures better than them. He could debate them and beat them in a debate. And they're like, how is this uneducated poor guy coming along beating us in a debate? How does he know the scriptures better than we know the scriptures? He didn't have any formal education. He didn't have any teaching from the elite teachers that we had, the church fathers. He didn't have any of that. How does he know the scriptures better than we do? And they didn't like him. He was offensive. He insulted people. He called them snakes and liars, like a pit of vipers. He called a woman a dog. What is a female dog? Jesus called a woman, a female, a dog. Think about that. The Canaan woman, canine. Think about it. He called them deceivers, Pharisees. Called them all sorts of names. Sometimes he would sneak in jabs. He would be doing a parable like the Prodigal Son, where he's basically insulting these people or correcting these people, correcting them, and then they get insulted by it, and they get offended, and they get angry. Now they want to kill him. Now he's got to run out of the city to the next city. Sam. That was that boy. Jesus, that boy. But that's it. That's all I got to say about that. Anybody want to shout out Stubborn One, Flat Sabbath, Rome, B-Wise? You guys hanging out? Not a lot of people stopping by tonight, but it is what it is. Maybe it's because I started late, or I don't know. But it is what it is. Ugh. I gotta get ready for work, guys. God told Jesus to suffer no thoughts, but Jesus heard suffer no thoughts. Jesus was flexing his championship belt. Yeah, what? That's right. That's right. Okay, guys. I'm going to go. I'm going to get ready for work. Everybody have a good night. We might watch that Bryce Mitchell, JP, Unchained, Flat Earth debate while playing some Terraria some night this week. But yeah. That's it. That's all I got to say. Let's play some outro music. We got any EDM? No. Night at the Roxbury? Okay. Hold on. All right, guys. It's been the Dreaded Conservative Show. Monday night, kicking the week off right. Every Monday night. News, politics, theology, conspiracy theories, all the good stuff. If you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell everybody. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button. Hit up the Cashapp if you want to. I'll see you guys next week. And I'll see you Friday night, chill streams. Saturday night, fight nights. And throughout the week, if we get time, we'll play some Terraria, watch some videos. I'm gonna go. Have a good night, everybody. God bless. Peace.